Welcome to the Sunrise Magic Makers podcast. I'm Melissa Curley, and I will be sitting down every episode to talk to the incredible individuals who have helped bring the magic of sunrise to children with cancer and their families over the past 20 summers. Today I am joined by Deanna Slade, Vice President of Camping Services, and our friend Meredith George from Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt to talk about an exciting new venture, Sunrise H Camp. Hi Meredith and Deanna. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're really excited to have both of you on for this conversation. Just really quickly, for anybody who is new to the podcast and doesn't know who we're talking to today, we're really excited to be joined by Meredith George, who is a child life specialist at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, as well as Deanna Slade, who is our Vice President of Camping Services here at the Sunrise Association. And you are both here to talk about a really exciting new project here at Sunrise, which is Sunrise H Camp, which is going to be our first ever in-hospital summer camp program. And we're so excited to talk about it and hear about it from both of you because you're both so deeply involved. So before we get into the details, I would love for you to each just take a few moments and really tell everybody how you found your way into this story and what made this be a big yes for you to build it together.
So I work at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, and for the past few months, we have implemented a partnership with the Sunrise on Wheels volunteer program in our infusion clinic, and they come weekly and facilitate programming and bedside activities and really hands-on opportunities for play, normalization, and socialization in our clinic space, and that has really been such a wonderful partnership. We have loved working with the volunteers and the Sunrise on Wheels staff members. And so through that experience, they had connected with us about a camp opportunity. And as soon as they presented it, we were all on board. I think I speak for all of our staff in our clinic space when I say that, we really value and appreciate our volunteers there. In fact, a lot of our Friday patients are always, one of the first things they ask when they get back to their infusion chair is, do we have the volunteers again today? And it's just been great forming that really true partnership and, knowing the volunteers on a first name basis with all the staff members and just all the collaboration that happens. So I think because of the richness of that partnership and really the quality of those volunteer interactions, we were so excited about the camp opportunity and really just open to, whatever creative things they could think of because we really trust them a lot with the programming.
That's really wonderful to hear. Thank you. All right.
And on my side, I'm everything camp, and our CEO and president, Arnie Preminger, and our senior vice president of hospital and community services, Bonnie Flato, came to me with this idea and said, would you be interested in, working on this with us and doing some programming for it and helping us to design this? And I could not have been more excited because, I see the kids in person at camp. I have had my time, with Sunrise on Wheels at the hospitals. And, the more time goes on, the more we recognize collectively that there's so many kids that are not able to get to one of our in-person camps, regardless of whether or not that is because we don't have an in-person camp within that community, or some kids are just not ready in their journey to be able to come to camp. And so taking our Sunrise on Wheels model and our camp model and merging them together and creating an in-hospital camp could not be more exciting. This is an opportunity for us to bring camp to the kids in the hospital consistently, like every day for full days, and just do more for the kids that are not able to get to our in-person camps.
I would love to hear a little bit deeper about where the idea for H Camp came from, and specifically why this felt like the right moment to try it, and if there's anything specific about Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt that made it the right place to launch this.
Sure. So, we are in the past few years, we've opened a number of new camps as part of our national expansion project. This will be our 15th camp for this expansion piece, and I think that when the idea was proposed to me, I think that there was a synergy between, or there is a synergy between the hospital in Nashville and certainly the programs that we're running. I think, just as Meredith alluded to before, they've been so happy and so thrilled with the work that our volunteers have been doing. And, I think that there's a need in that area. We do not have an in-person camp there. And so to have the opportunity to create a camp in a hospital environment was almost like a dream, and a dream come true for us, and allows us to create a whole new program where there's a need for these kids to have a camping service. And so it's just all very exciting, and I think that Meredith could speak a little bit more about why this was the right time for them. But on my end, I just could not have been more thrilled when this was, brought to me.
I can add a little bit about the timing for us. So we have been working on for a little bit over a year a large-scale renovation of our hematology oncology outpatient floor, which includes our doctor's office visit, room visit side, and our infusion clinic. And I'm sure I could find more details about the renovation, but it's really big. But anyways, part of that renovation with getting the new clinic together is that we, for the first time, will have a child life therapeutic space. And that is a space that is open to group programming opportunities, to therapeutic interventions, whether it's one-on-one or with patients and their siblings or families, to have an opportunity for those child life interventions in their own therapeutic space. And so we will actually be soft launching this in the weeks prior to the Sunrise H Camp. And then Sunrise H Camp is kind of our official formal debut. So all of our patients for the past couple months, as we have been opening the clinic in phases, have been walking by this really amazing room, and they've been so excited to see what we will have in there. And so this will be the first time that patients will be able to have group programming opportunities in that space, and it's going to be so exciting. It's lots of windows, great sunlight. It's really been designed with a therapeutic value in mind, and so we're really excited to host that programming in there.
I also kind of want to jump in, and Meredith, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I had the opportunity to go down to Nashville and see the space, because it's very hard to program anything without understanding your space. And, there's 25 bay areas, which is, all not isolated, but independent infusion spaces in the clinic. And it's very large. And one of the things that we try to focus on in all of our camps is a shared experience with these kids amongst their peers, with their siblings. And, the families will come into the waiting room at the hospital, and there will be siblings there, and there will be, kids that are going into clinic, and whether or not they're there for 45 minutes or they're there for 4 hours, it depends on what the kids are going through. But this gives us an opportunity to take the philosophy of creating a shared experience, of connecting with your peers, and doing it in a recreational, fun way, in a situation that may not be the most comfortable or the easiest type of situation for these kids. And I think that, especially with, Sunrise Association, always when we're in the hospital, following all of the guidelines of the hospital for health and safety. And after learning all of the guidelines at the hospital through Meredith and through all of our conversations, I think that we're going to be able to create an opportunity for all of these kids to have this type of program with the partnership of, Vanderbilt, and be able to give those peer-to-peer interactions and to allow the siblings to interact with, their brothers or sisters that might be going through something in the safest way possible, but in the most exciting way possible. And so we're looking to transform the environment in the healthiest and safest way to really feel like camp.
So, Deanna, that gives me like a great kind of segue to my next question, because you have really been on the ground at our in-person camps for over 20 years now. And so you know that these are big, joyful, carefree places for these children with cancer and their siblings. And bringing that now inside of a hospital is going to require a lot of reimagining. So I would love to hear from you. What do you plan to carry over from camp untouched, and what do you need to rethink? And can you maybe just kind of walk us through what a day at each camp is going to look like?
Yeah, I think we have to not really reimagine, but we have to modify everything that we're doing. When we are at our in-person camps, we are very, very close to what the guidelines are in the hospitals, right? Because we are dealing with immunocompromised children. We are hyper-focused on health and safety and hand washing and sanitizing and making sure everything's clean so that, all of our children are staying safe, medically safe when they're at camp. I know that the rules are definitely more stringent when you're in the hospital. And so anything that we're paralleling from our in-person camps to the hospitals don't really need to be reimagined. They kind of need to be rethought out and modified so that we can, adhere to those guidelines, but not really change the level of programming that we have in an in-person camp. For instance, when we're at an in-person camp, we might be outside and we might be able to do things that are a little bit more physical, right? So how are we going to bring certain activities into the hospital? We're definitely not going to be playing kickball, right? We're not going to be playing tennis, but we might be able to give some of these kids those paddle balls, right? Or we might be able to bring giant games in where they can interact with each other and play Connect Four with each other, with lawn games or giant games. We just need to be mindful of what these children are going through. I think that, when they're in the hospitals, they're in a very different environment and they are in a very vulnerable, space and stage. And so we just need to be thoughtful about what we're going to encounter in the hospitals with the kids and how we can make, just like at in-person camp, the best possible day that we possibly can for them, filled with magic and fun and interaction and, and again, modifying whatever it is they might need.
Deanna, that's all it's so interesting to hear you talk about it and the different changes that will be made, but something that I know we've all experienced now at this point with our 14 camps is that any Sunrise camp you step into feels like a Sunrise camp. And so I have no doubt that this will be the same. And I would love to hear from you, what are we expecting a typical day at H camp to look like? Do you have that planned out yet, what these children are going to be walking into?
We do. So just like we do at our regular in-person camps, we are going to be theming each and every day that we have at camp and reshaping the environment based on that theme every single day. So for, Vanderbilt particularly, we are going to, when the kids walk into the waiting room, there is going to be a fake, not real, but campfire with seating around it. And, we are planning to have a musician with a guitar so that there's going to be camp songs. We're going to have music on. Just like when what we do at in-person camp, when the kids come off the bus, our counselors are standing at the buses and they're cheering and they're screaming and they're excited and they're greeting the kids with big smiles and pom-poms. we're going to have a staff member in that waiting room that's going to have that same enthusiasm. The waiting room is going to be decorated according to the theme. The kids are going to walk in. Our greeter, we have incredible staff members that are going to be working at the hospital for this program. And the kids are going to walk in. They're going to be greeted with love and excitement and enthusiasm. There's going to be activities in the waiting room that feel very campy. Just like I said, we're going to have a campfire with like music playing, and we're going to have like lawn games out, like giant games. We're going to have like a small like tenty space where the kids, can go in and kind of chill out for a little bit. And then when they leave the waiting room, and they're also going to be they're going to register, they're going to sign in every morning. And when the kids, after they leave the waiting room and they go into the clinic, we're going to have an activity room, which is what Meredith was talking about before, which is this activity space for the child life specialists. And each and every day, we're going to transform that space depending on what the theme is. Also, in the clinic, the decorations and the environment for the theme will continue, so the kids don't lose that after the waiting room. And when the kids are not able to go into that activity room to do art or STEAM or make friendship bracelets, and there's going to be music in that room too, also greeted by other HCamp staff members. When they are in their bay areas or they're getting infusions, we are going to make sure that all of those spaces are decorated as well. And we will have other staff members for HCamp that will be roaming around in the infusion spaces in the bay areas, bringing those activities to them. So none of the kids will be missing out. If a doctor or a nurse needs to come in and work with a child, we'll be able to step out very, very easily. And one of the beautiful things about working with Meredith and her team is they are all in. The nurses, the child life specialists, they are ready to put on costumes. They are ready to join us in everything that we're doing. So I feel like we're really going to have a cohesive team that is going to allow the flow of camp to happen while these kids are going through their treatments.
That's wonderful. That's so exciting. Meredith, I would really like to ask you, from your perspective, you talked a little bit about what you're seeing the effect of our Sunrise on Wheels program. Can you talk just a little bit deeper about that, what you've already seen this program do for these children and their families, and like what about the full camp experience excites you the most for them?
Yeah, I would say that the most exciting part about Sunrise on Wheels is that it really brings such a valuable sense of normalization and socialization to these clinics. And, kids are coming to the hospital quite frequently sometimes for treatments and doctor's visits and different things like that. And so getting to be able to be a kid and feel like a normal kid and feel like themselves in those moments, or have a really, meaningful interaction as a family, playing a board game together or doing a craft they can take home. Those kind of moments are so special, especially when the hospital can sometimes feel like a second home to these families in the sense that they're always there, it seems like. Or, sometimes the hospital might be a really scary place and it could be really stressful of an experience for these families. So being able to turn that into something positive is so valuable. And we just hear so much positive feedback from the patients themselves, from the parents and the families, about how much they really enjoy those visits, and it can really change their day and change their, journey to have that to look forward to. So I think having that and more for these long, full days of programming is going to be amazing. We are really excited that more kids and their families will be able to experience Sunrise on Wheels during these days. Really excited about that. And I think, like y'all touched on earlier too, some of these kids, a normal thing for a kid to do would be to go to summer camp, and some of them are not able to do that, whether it's because they're in treatment, or lots of different factors might make it so that it's hard for them to go and experience that. And so bringing that to them is always one of our goals too. Whatever we can do to bring those really exciting or normalizing opportunities to the families right where they are is really amazing. So I'm excited to see the impact on an even bigger scale with these full days of programming.
So, Meredith, I would love to get your thoughts on this piece. I don't know how much you're aware of this, but we conducted a study in 2024 with Tel Aviv University, and it was the first evidence-based study that we did on camp that was really eye-opening and remarkable because it really it solidified a lot of what we were already seeing. We surveyed our campers at the start and end of the camp season, as well as 12 weeks later. And we looked at things like illness management and self-esteem and sibling relationships. And one of the most striking things for us that we keep coming back to is the idea of resilience. And resilience was something that really held strong for the children, even 12 weeks after camp. And so we're really looking at how our programs are helping these children build their resilience. And so I was wondering, from the hospital side of things and what you've seen, how the children interact with Sunrise on Wheels, is that affecting the resilience of these children while they are in the hospital to have these programs?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that in my experience, both from learning about the literature and the research, and then also experiencing it firsthand in my day-to-day work, having those positive experiences and strong therapeutic relationships with staff members, with volunteers, with all those people supporting these patients and families on their journeys can really impact their resiliency in such a positive way. It can help make their whole treatment journey look vastly different and in such a positive way. So we definitely, as child life specialists, that's one of our goals. And it certainly aligns with all of the parallels with the values of Sunrise on Wheels and with Sunrise H Camp. So I think that's also what makes this partnership so special, is it's really focusing on those same impact pieces that we all, focus our day-to-day work in as well.
I'd also like to add, and thank you for saying that, Meredith, because on the camp side of things, and for everything that we do at Sunrise, we see it and we feel it and we know it. And as Melissa said, the Tel Aviv study really, really validated everything that we thought we knew, but we definitely knew, but it really put it down on paper for us. And the name of Sunrise H Camp, although H, sure, we can lend it to stand for hospital, but it doesn't really. It stands for hope, healing, and happiness. And especially since our Tel Aviv study results came to fruition and came to us, it was so suiting, because when we saw all of our results, stress and anxiety went down, and resilience went up, and independence went up, and sibling relationships and illness management and self-esteem went up and confidence went up. And so we do things very intentionally and very deliberately and very purposefully. And this just even opened our eyes more to how much time and energy we should be putting into this and focusing in on this. And I think that by doing this program in the hospital consistently for all of the days, for all of those hours in a row, my hope and my goal for all of this is that we're going to be able to, increase all of these benchmarks and all of these pillars for the kids, even more so than what they were getting before, even with Wheels in the hospital, which is not every single day of the week, even though I know you guys would love it every single day of the week, which would be amazing. But in the meantime, we have this opportunity to do this. And I think that, the results of the study just make it that much more important that we keep going.
Absolutely. And that actually feeds me very well into my final question for both of you, really. So this summer, this program in the hospital is going to be a pilot of H Camp. And I just want to know from you both, what do you dream about for Sunrise H Camp? Where do you see it going from here? And why does, I guess, not why does it matter? I think we've answered that, but what could a camp inside of a hospital become in your eyes?
I would say something that I'm most excited for about the Sunrise H Camp is getting to implement a practice of formal programming and group programming and peer interaction and family and sibling interactions in our clinic space, and really having that become the standard for programming in our clinic and really a standard of care as far as what we're able to offer for patients and families. And so, I think we all would love to have camp be, every day. That was one of the kind of only, when we were talking through the planning process, I was like, my only concern, I guess it's a good problem to have, is that after this, the kids are going to be like, okay, can we do this every single day? Because I feel like it's just going to be that much of a hit. So I think that's something that I'm really excited for this opportunity.
I hope so too, Meredith.
Yeah.
I really do. I think for me, I echo everything that Meredith had just said. And while Meredith is on the ground with these families and these kids, and I don't know them yet, I feel like we, again, have this opportunity to give 110% and create, a space where we can take a difficult and potentially very, very scary time or day for a child, and we can, kind of turn the tide a little bit and, fill the bucket with some really positive interactions and positive programming where the kids may not look forward to going to the hospital, but they have something to look forward to when they do go to the hospital. And I think on the Sunrise Association side, I think that, we run this program this summer, and as you said, Melissa, it's a pilot. And I would imagine that there'll be a couple things here and there that we're like, okay, maybe we need to rethink that. But the truth is, I'd like to step out of it with wild success and be able to say we can do this anywhere. We can modify this. We could do this anywhere. There's so many different places around the world, around the country, that there's a need. And as Meredith was alluding to before, like, these kids deserve every opportunity for normalcy. They deserve every opportunity to feel like a kid, to be a kid, even when they're having a difficult time. And so if we can step in for a day, for a week, for a month, and be able to provide that, I think that that's the goal for us, is, to learn from all of our experiences, to learn from each and every program that we create, and to be able to replicate it to serve as many families as we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I personally am so excited to see this program take off. I know both of you are as well. And we're going to be keeping everybody posted and can't wait to share more on it. And thank you both so much for coming on tonight to talk about the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to get there, Meredith.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited too. It's going to be a really great experience. So we're pumped for sure.